What's up, military millionaires? Today we're going to talk about 9 things that service members do to stay poor. And to give you a little backstory, here's why this is. Normally when I drive into work or whatever, I listen to audiobooks, but I drove to Utah and back last weekend, so I had like 45 hours of drive time, so I finished like 4 books, and kind of burned out on audiobooks, so I changed it up, listened to some podcasts today, right? So I'm listening to Alex Hormozi, The Game, which is a great podcast. Alex is a multi-million-dollar earner who wrote the book $100 Million Offers, and he does this podcast and a whole bunch of other content, and I just love what he does. And so I'm driving in, and he's saying, hey, I had this idea for a podcast. It's like 16 minutes or something. It's 28 things that you can do if you want to stay poor. And the reason he does this is because Charlie Munger, which is the counterpart to Warren Buffett with Berkshire Hathaway, talks about inversion thinking, meaning the human brain can think of more negative like problems and things than positive and solutions, right? It's just how we're wired. You're able to think more about what ifs and oh no's and preparation and worst case scenarios than you are about the good stuff, right? And so the idea is that instead of writing down, if you write down like, hey, here's how many things can I do to get rich, you come up with 5 or 10 ideas. But if you write down if I did this, like what would I do if I wanted to stay poor? You'll come up with a lot more ideas. And as long as you avoid those mistakes, then you'll get rich, or you just do the opposite of those things, right? And so he had this idea, and I was like, wow, that's really cool, and this great little show. It's super worth listening to, and I was like, I'm going to make a YouTube video about it. And this is actually recording number 2 because I did a super newbie mistake where I cut the power before I turned off the recording, and so it created a DAT file, which basically is just a fucked file, and is what it is. So today, we're going to talk about 9 things that service members do that'll keep them poor right after this intro. Also, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe if you get something out of this. So digging right in, number 9 is complaining that you don't get paid enough. Service members do this all the time, right? So if you look at just your W-2 taxable income, that would be true, right? You're like, oh my gosh, I only make $30,000 a year. I'm broke. But you got to factor in everything else. So to use myself as an example, I made like $44,000 or $46,000 taxable on my W-2 for my last year as a 13-year staff sergeant in the Marine Corps. However, if you factor in my medical, my BAH, my food allowance, my dental, not having to pay for health insurance, and all these other things, I would have had to make over $120,000 a year to have the exact same lifestyle in California that I had while earning that $40,000. Maybe even more, because I would have been taxed on all 120, whereas in this case, I'm only taxed on the 40-something, and the rest is untaxed because they're benefits, right? Like, you don't get taxed on BAH, you don't get taxed on your food allowance, you get free medical, like all these things, right? So don't get sucked into the victim mentality of not getting paid enough, because that'll keep you from ever getting rich. If you think about it, going into a fight, if you have one boxer who is super, super, super confident and they're aggressive and they're looking for ways to win, you have another boxer who's super timid and woe is me and the world's against me and blah, 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 and not confident, the confident guy is going to win. Even if the other guy's a better fighter, the confident guy, the aggressor, is going to win. Same with finances. If you put yourself into that victim, woe is me mentality, you're not setting yourself up for success. Flip it around. You've got tons of benefits. Be the aggressor financially. Now, number 8, partying too hard. Now, I spent my time in the Marine Corps. I'm all about partying. It's great. Love it. Go out, have fun. Not trying to tell you not to do that. Just don't do it so much that you ruin the rest of your life, right? Or that you ruin your chances at financial freedom. So maybe twice a month, so on payday weekends even, when everyone else is going crazy, you volunteer to be the DD. You still get to go out with your friends. You get to watch them drink. Clubs will give you free drinks for being the DD. Your friends will pay for gas because you're the DD, so you could go for completely free. You might even make money going out. They'll probably buy you food. They'll probably buy you gas. They'll, whatever. So you might even make money to go out, and you're still going to get to hang out with all your friends. You can just make fun of all the drunk asses later. You probably have a better chance picking up a date because you're going to be able to engage and interact instead of just being a hooligan. So instead of just partying all the time way too hard, mellow out a little bit and be the DD. Hook your friends up and it'll come back to help you out, right? Number 7 is living paycheck to paycheck. If you make $1,000 every paycheck and you spend $1,000 every paycheck, you're going to go broke. You're never going to build wealth. The fastest and the most important thing with building wealth is your saving rate. So whatever percentage of your paycheck you're able to save, the bigger that percentage is, the faster you're going to build wealth. So if you read The Richest Man in Babylon, it talks about just saving a simple 10% of your paycheck to invest every paycheck, and you will build wealth. That's very true. If that goes to 20%, 30%, 40%, you get rich that much faster. So just make sure you pay yourself first a little bit, do a little saving, do a little investing before you blow everything. So maybe you spend $900 and you save $100 every paycheck, right? So whatever that is. All right, number 6 is eating out when the chow hall's available. I never really understood this. I like the chow hall. I mean, they've got the fast food line, they've got healthy line, they've got, if you don't like any of that food, they've got yogurts and cereals and things that you really can't mess up, hard-boiled eggs, whatever. And so while the chow hall is not gourmet, it's paid for already. So I'm not saying you can't go eat out. Feel free to go eat out every now and then, maybe once or twice a week, right? But if you go to the 7-Day Store for breakfast and the Gut Truck for lunch and eat out for dinner, and you're spending $40, $50, $60 a day on food when you've already got the chow hall paid for, and you're just blowing that money because you could just go eat for free and save that $40, $50, $60 per day for food, right? So all things in moderation. Feel free to go eat out every now and then, but definitely take advantage of the chow hall. I used to go and pay to eat at the chow hall for lunch even once I had comrades because I got a lot more food for the same price. And it was, I'd go hang out with my buddies at the chow hall and we'd pay like $3 for lunch. It was great. All right, number 5, not investing in the TSP. I'm just going to go out here and say this in a rude, blunt way. If you joined after January 1st, 2019, or whenever the blended retirement system started and you're on the blended retirement, if you're not contributing 5% to your TSP, you're a freaking idiot, right? So if you contribute 5%, the government will match with another 5%. That means that let's say it's $100, is now $200 the moment you put it in, guaranteed. It is an instant 100% return. It's a 5% pay raise. It is silly not to at least put the matching contribution. Now, I've got tons of video on the TSP. Honestly, I think you're better off if you do a little bit more than that 5%. In fact, a lot more. I put in 60% my last year to max it out before my EAS in October, but you don't have to do that. But the more you put in, the better, especially at an early age. Tons of videos about that and allocations for funds, but at least the 5% matching contribution. I mean, you're literally missing out on free money if you don't do that. Number 4, spending your BAH poorly. Now, the BAH is designed to get you into a house that they think is right for your rank, right? So it's adjusted for inflation and pricing and cost of living and all that. But if you're a PFC, BAH is not designed to get you to a 4-bed, 3-bath house in a gated community with a pool in your backyard. It's designed to get you into like a 2-1 apartment or a 2-1 house because it figures like you probably just got married, maybe you have a kid on the way. You probably don't have like a family with 10 kids, right? Whereas like a colonel is going to have a much higher BAH rate because they've been in the military for like 30 years. They probably have a full family, probably got like high school age kids. They're going to need a bigger house. So make sure you don't go outside of your BAH. Don't try to outlive your means and go into some luxury house that costs you an arm and a leg on top of your BAH. That's silly. And the single best way to really help yourself out with this is my favorite thing, which is number 3, and that's house hacking. Now, I've got tons of videos that go into detail on this, but house hacking will allow you to save almost all your BAH. So here's how it works. One way is you buy a fourplex, you live in one of the 4 units, and you rent the other 4 units. Those 3 units, those 3 units will cover most of your mortgage, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, utilities, whatever. So let's say you're in San Diego, and let's say your BAH is $3,000 a month, and let's just say you assume that you're going to be able to spend $3,000 a month on rent and utilities, and you'll basically break even on your BAH. At least you're not going overboard like Knucklehead who bought a 4.3 as a PFC, but that's not terrible. But check this out. What if even only $1,500 was left? So let's say you house hack and you still have to come out of pocket $1,500 a month. So it's really not that great a house hack. You can do much better. You can live for free. I've got friends in San Diego who are getting paid to live in their fourplex. Like they are making money and keeping all their BAH. But for sake of argument, let's say you're able to live and you have to pay $1,500 a month. Your tenants pay all the rest in this fourplex. Well, that means that you're saving $1,500 of untaxed BAH every single month. $18,000 a year. You could max your TSP out that year and you wouldn't live any different than if you had just paid the $3,000 in BAH. So, don't go overboard on BAH, and if you can, house hack to really drastically reduce your living expenses so that you can take all that money and reinvest it, and you can exponentially help yourself get out of, build wealth. I've house hacked 3 different times. This office is a house hack where this is a walkout basement and the upstairs is an Airbnb that pays for the entire place. So it's a great way to build wealth, and it's super smart to be able to save your BAH, your biggest expense. All right, number 2. I could probably just say the word Mustang and you know where I'm going with this, or Charger or Camaro, but buying a brand new car. First off, if you're brand new to the military and you're overseas, you don't even need a car. And if you're brand new to the military and you're not overseas, you probably still don't need a car. You can commute. You're probably walking distance to your job. Maybe you Uber on the weekends, whatever. Do the math. It may not make sense for you to get a car, but I'm a car guy, so I get it. I've had Harleys, I've had cars, whatever. The only thing I've ever bought brand new was a Harley, because there's arguments to be made about, if someone dropped it, right? Like a motorcycle almost makes more sense to buy new. But cars do not, and here's why. If you buy a brand new car, on average, within 6 years, it will be worth 55% of what you paid for it. So if you buy a $50,000 car, you will then have a car in 6 years that's worth $27,500, but you've been paying interest the whole time. So you're going to pay $55,000 or $60,000 for something that in 6 years will be less than half of that, and you're upside down, right? Like, you're just spending money on this depreciating asset. But if you buy a car that's 5 to 10 years old, it's already lost that 45% in value. Now it's going to be a much so cars drop value like this. So it's like as soon as you drive off the lot, you're 15, 20% gone, and then it goes down to like 55% of value by like 5-6 years, and then it kind of tapers off. So if you buy a car in that 5 to 10 year range that's still got low mileage, good maintenance records, it's in good shape, it's going to keep its value a lot more. So you're not going to be completely underwater and just screwed, right? So, a great example of this is I bought, in 2019, I bought a 2013 Jetta, so 6 years old. I bought the Volkswagen Jetta diesel sports wagon. I love this thing. I averaged 45.3 miles a gallon over the last 900 miles I drove on the way back here. Now, granted downhill, but I get 30 to 35 city, 40 to 45 highway. Tons of room in it, leather, heated seats, nice car, moon roof. It's a great vehicle. I love it. I bought that thing. It was 6 years old, had 21,200 miles on it, and I paid $11,900. That my payment, including insurance, I'm less than $250 a month all in. And, I'm doing this thing, everything's great, the vehicle's running great, and it's going to save me money, right? Like, it's already lost most of its value, it's in great shape now, everything's wonderful. Honestly, when I went to the dealership not too long ago, they told me I could sell it for $17,000 because prices have gone crazy this year, and it's got 78,000 miles on it. So I've put over 50,000 miles on this car, and I could sell it for profit. So it's because I bought right. Had I bought it at full price, it would have depreciated a ton. So just don't go buy a brand new car. Buy something that's 5 or 10 years old that's already depreciated a lot. If you have to buy a vehicle, low mileage, good maintenance records, whatever. And then you're probably going to be able to miss all the bugs, too, that come with a brand new vehicle. So that's my advice on that. The number one, the one you've all been waiting for, most controversial of all of these, getting married too soon. And then especially if it ends in divorce. So to put in perspective, the 4th wealthiest woman in the world at like $46 billion is Mackenzie Scott, formerly Mackenzie Bezos. If you can't tell me that losing $46 billion in a divorce is painful, I don't know what to tell you. So obviously she did support him and she was there along the whole way. So like she definitely earned some of that. But I'm just saying, divorce is not a cheap thing. And I don't know what the reason is. I don't know if it's because service members feel invincible after boot camp and they're like, well, good, I'm getting married. Or if they just want to get out of the house, or out of the barracks, which BAH is not worth that. It's not like you get super wealthy just for getting married. Or if it's because they're young and stupid. Or I don't know, maybe they fell for some tag chaser who was really trying to get you to marry them for TRICARE. Jokes aside, service members get married young. And there's nothing wrong with getting married young if you get married to the right person, right? My in-laws and my parents have been married for 30, 40, 50 years. My in-laws got married when they were like 18 and 20 or 17 and 19 or whatever. Like, they were young. they've been fine. But you need to get married to the right person. You need to have those tough conversations, like know what kind of debt they have. Are they good with money? Do they have student loans? Like, are they going to tank your finances? Are you going to tank their finances? You know, and then you need to do anything you can, like go to counseling to avoid getting that divorce, because divorce, it could potentially ruin you financially. And for some reason, service members, you know, I mean, they seem to like getting married, and they seem to like getting married too young, and they seem to like jumping into it, and then they end up divorced. And I don't, you know, I mean, that's a surefire way to keep yourself from building wealth. That makes things very difficult. So I know it's frustrating, and I'm not saying don't get married. Just make sure you're marrying the right person. Make sure you know what their finances look like, and make sure they're going to help you build that wealth and not detract and be like a major deterrent in your success in life. So those are the top 9 things that service members can do to stay poor. So if you got something out of this, make sure you like the video and subscribe, and just understand that the idea now is you know what these 9 things are. If you can avoid making these mistakes and or do the opposite of these mistakes, then you're going to be successful, right? You're going to build wealth. You're going to get rich in the military. And we've got tons of other content on it. You know, feel free. I'll pull it out. I don't ever do this. But grab a copy of my book, The No BS Guide to Military Life, How to Build Wealth, Get Promoted, and Achieve Greatness. It's everything I wish I'd known prior to joining the military. And it's chronological. It'll help you out if you're just joining. It'll help you out if you're a veteran. It'll help you out in any situation. You can buy it on Amazon, or if you go to my website, from militarytomillionaire.com/book, you can buy it there, but you can also just scroll down a little bit. A pop-up will appear, and if you enter your email, it'll give you the PDF for free. So personally, I hate reading PDFs, so I never do that, but you know, I wanted to make sure that there was a way to offer it to people for free so that they could get the information. It's also on Audible if you'd like to download it. But, you know, ultimately, we're just here to help you. We want to help service members and vets learn how to build wealth through real estate, entrepreneurship, and personal finance. We want to help you achieve financial freedom so that you can enjoy the life that you've fought defending. So have a great day, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already.